What's up, guys? Ricky here with another review on the original superheroes, The Phantom by NECA Toys. So this was one I really wasn't planning on picking up. I am a big fan of kind of the Defenders, so I did pick up the other ones in the set. I'm not going to get all the variants, etc., but I did get the original members because I thought it was cool. And this one I happened to see in person and decided, you know what, why not? So I picked it up because this is technically could be a different character because this is the Phantom, but I believe this is the father Phantom, I believe. You can quote me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't think it's too bad to have two Phantoms because I think this one's the father and the other one is the son. But here we go. Let's look at it in package real quick. So this one, it says, has glow-in-the-dark eyes. So maybe we'll put that to the test for you all here on the channel. We'll see. It comes with this really cool skull, which I believe is also a head, which this is pretty cool, so that could be really neat. Comes with two pistols. Looks really good. Different type of trunks. Other than the trunks, right, the body mold and everything looks pretty similar. You have cool hands there. And it looks like, yeah, I hope so. So one thing I didn't like about the originals of these is they painted the hands. So what happened is instead of using the colored plastic like they're using here, they used they painted it essentially. So what happens is when you plug those in, you just get paint chips all over the place. So it looks like these are just plastic, which I actually am in favor of for sure. So cool. So there it is in the package, looking pretty good. You have the side of the package here. So this says #1 for that series. Here we go. Got the back here. So like I said, I got all the original members. That's kind of just what I wanted to get. I didn't really want to get any other variants, but I figure this one could kind of fit in pretty good as, one of the crew team members, I mean. Let's see, it does say glow-in-the-dark eyes. We'll put that to the test. It looks like you can also get #3, which is being the Merciless. #2, which is the King of the Impossible, Flash Gordon. And then here is the bio here. And if you'd like to read that, you can pause your screen now. Okay, cool. And then here's the other side of the package with some action figure imagery. Perfect. So let's open this up and see what we're looking at. Okay, here's the Phantom out of the package, and I am absolutely loving this figure. Way more than I imagined I would, too, because this was kind of, I wouldn't say it was an impulse buy, but I was at the store, saw it, and was debating, and was like, you know what, I'll just go for it. But man, this figure is awesome. So comes with a lot of really cool accessories, and just everything just goes nicely. It's hard to explain. So there's definitely some upgrades between this one and the previous Phantom, which I will highlight and I will talk about. But yeah, let's look at this real quick. Look at that. So you got some really cool paint details. Obviously just kind of like a purple. But you can tell there's some shading throughout, some darker tones. So it looks like it's probably airbrushed. In the creases there, not any hand painting by any means, but definitely looks like a airbrush to make it darker and just give it some differentiation. You have these cool blasts that go on the front of the pistols, right? It comes with two pistols, two pistol hands. These are not the ones that come out of the package. He comes in the package with a fist. He comes with an open hand and a gripping hand for the whip. And looks like they fit in the holster really well. And then the whip actually is like a bendy, it's like almost like the twisty ties that you would tie the figure up with, or the figure would be tied up with in the package. But it looks better. So you can kind of wrap it around to make it look like he's got the whip around his body, which is what I did. I think that looks pretty cool. So digging that. Okay, you got the really interesting trunks, but I know it was like this in the comics. The black and the blue. But yeah, overall really, really cool. And you got the skull there as well. So let me highlight real quick and I'll show you the difference between the hands because that was a big thing that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so here's the two hands of what I was kind of telling you about. So the one on the right is the new one, right? So this comes with the peach colored plastic. The one on the left is the painted one. You can see, and I don't think leaving it plain looks, with the plastic looks any worse, right? I think it actually looks better. But you can see, so what happened is this is what they did. So like I said, they painted it, and then what happens is you basically all this stuff chips off, right? So when you have this on his hand, like this, because it's plugged into the figure, it doesn't bother me too bad, but the wrist, right? So then if you have him posed and using the fist hands, he's basically got a big purple stripe just kind of hanging out there and a bunch of peach-colored plastic. So yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate. So I'm glad that they learned from this and did something different because, yeah, this is pretty unfortunate, to kind of just have the figure just kind of doing that, you know. Yeah, just paint peels off. And all of them are like that. So Flash Gordon used red plastic that was painted, etc. So that was definitely a benefit because, yeah, look at this. So this is just peach plastic, but it looks better. I think it just looks like a better, some more texture shows up because it's not globbed on with paint. And then you don't have to worry about it chipping off because they did the peach tone. So huge fix there. Huge fan of that. Okay, so just wanted to highlight that because that was a big deal for me. And when we get to articulation, I'll show you what they've been doing with the new Defenders. That's much better than the old ones. So here we go. So let's put the skull head on and see what that looks like. Okay, here's Phantom with the alternate head on and the whip in action, which looks pretty cool. Like I'm digging this. I did not realize the skull had articulation, so that's pretty cool. So one call out is I don't even know if I got the head on there all the way. The head on this thing to get the skull on was a challenge, or at least it was for this one. So, you know, I pride myself on being pretty strong, but this was really, really tough. So you might have a hard time swapping heads on this. But here, let's take a closer look at the head sculpt, and I'll show you what we're looking at. So the skull, right, so it does have articulation, which looks nice. And the tones they did on this were really good. Like, look at this. They have... It looks like a brown, or like a, it's hard to explain. It's more like a reddish, kind of brownish base coat. And they dry brushed the bone color over the top, which looks really good. And they even did, it looks like a wash on the front of the face, right? So the teeth look really good. Around the jaw looks really good. Everything looks really good. Even like, look at this. There's a big chunk taken out of the top. It looks amazing. The only thing that I think is weird is they have all this cool texture. I don't know why they just globbed brown just right there and on both sides. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand from a distance, like, it looks fine. It's like a shading piece, but the skull looks so good on its own. It really didn't need that. I think that's just extra that they did not actually have to do. But overall, yeah, pretty cool looking out of the package. I could see this too. Like, if someone wants to do a customization using the skull for like you know, a scorpion figure or something. So yeah, I don't know, very cool. But yeah, so very neat looking. So how about we get into the articulation, and then later on in the review we'll compare the two so you can check it out. Okay, so I just held his face over light for about a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to test out this glow in the dark feature on his eyes. So here we go, ready? Okay, so look, so the eyes glow really well. Looks really good. There's something glowing on his belt too, or something. It's very interesting. But yeah, so it glows really well. So here we go, let's see what that is real quick. Oh, okay, so that emblem is glow in the dark too. Okay, let's check it out again. Look at that. It probably glows better, I would assume. Maybe I didn't charge it enough. But yeah, so very cool. So we know it works. Okay, so let's get into articulation. Okay, so head moves up about that far. Looks down about this far. You do have nice pivot and rotation. So pretty good there. It is a double ball joint. You do have shoulder articulation that goes up about 90 degrees. You do have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which is nice, and some wrist articulation and pivot as well. Then you do have an ab crunch, which you can crunch about that far. So pretty good ab crunch. And then you can crunch back about that far. So pretty good. Then you do have a rotation. So it does rotate. Legs go up, not quite 90 degrees. You do have double jointed knees as well. Then you do have ankle pivot and toe articulation as well. As far as splits goes, they can do the splits really well thanks to the new and improved leg articulation. And then you also do have a rotation there as well. So I'm going to highlight this again. I've highlighted this in my other Defenders video. Ever since Lothar and Magic the Magician, and then I guess this new wave here, they have fixed that. So if you look real close, they have a different type of joint here. So you have two ball joints now with rotation. So what happens is they rotate really, really well, and then you have no problems with them getting stuck. So the thing about the other Defenders figures, the first wave, almost all of them had one leg that was stuck, that would not move, would either not twist or not lift, just like a lot of the Predator Wave 2. So I was hoping that they would be switching the Predators to also be doing that. NECA would do it, but maybe they're already in production. So even the new Elder that I just got still has the old articulation, but I'd be curious to see if they start going to this articulation for future figures, because it is actually outstanding. No stuck joints, no problems, and the articulation is even better than before. So overall, pretty highly articulated figure. But yeah, looking pretty good. Okay, and here are the Defenders of the Earth, and these are them all together. So what they did do with these figures, just to let you know, is they did like a standard body mold, obviously for everybody, with Mandrake the Magician, which they started off with their superhero line that they did with the SDCC exclusives, their Comic-Con exclusives. So it started with Green Lantern, so you can tell has the exact same body mold as, you know, Phantom and Flash Gordon, etc., which I think is a good-looking body mold. So, I mean, obviously it's a way to save some money by not having to do lots of molds, but it works well, especially for different superheroes. And you also got to see it on the Batman as well. So I do have both of these. Lucked out and got these at one point. Do not have the Superman one, but he also uses the same mold. So you can see real cool muscle mold, so I like that. So here we go. So let's do a little comparison real quick. So if you look up close, so it looks like this is one we're looking at here, and it's actually a darker tone. I didn't realize that than the original. So it's a little bit darker tone, a little bit different airbrushing, and it looks like what they did, yeah, it looks like it's plastic with airbrush, right? This one, it looks like they actually painted, so over a different type of plastic. So it's interesting to use the purple as the base tone and then airbrush it versus actually painting it. So primering it and painting it purple. So, and it looks different. I actually think I like this one a little bit better, just because the details pop a little bit more. But that's just me. So you can tell different tones. Other than that, everything looks virtually identical. They use the same head sculpt, looks like. The only difference, the trunks are different, but I think this is supposed to be the father, this is supposed to be the son. And as you kind of go through and look, right, like I said, same body mold. This one actually has shoulder pads kind of built in. Right, this one they added some extra stuff on with Luthor. Obviously, Mandrake is quite a bit different, but even with Ming, right, they did a similar thing, just added stuff to it. So very cool, though. So let's see. So he stands at about, stands at about almost 7 inches tall, not quite 7 inches, maybe 6 3/4 inches. And that puts him at about 17 centimeters tall. So it's a little bit on the shorter side for a 7-inch scale action figure. But overall fits in with the Defenders of the Earth just fine. So pretty cool looking group there. And it looks like they, like I said, they're all in the same mold, so they look like they're all stand about the same height besides Mandrake. So very cool. Really cool looking together. Love it. Okay, final thoughts on Phantom, the original Heroes of NECA Toys. So a big fan. I really like it. So I think it's an upgrade from the previous Phantom. I think just around one, the hands were a big deal for me, so the hands don't chip paint anymore. The articulation on the hip and leg articulation is far superior, which is really nice. Even the paint tones, I like the darker tone even better than I like the lighter tone, and it's glow-in-the-dark eyes. So I'd say if you're looking at picking up a Phantom figure and you didn't pick up the first one, go for it. Pick it up. I think it's $32.99 right now, and I think it's a pretty good deal. Fun action figure. It's got really cool accessories with the skull, the whip, and the pistols. So if you're into Defenders of the Earth, go pick this up right now. So thank you all so much. We did cross the 1,000 subscriber threshold, so thank you all so much. We'd be able to do it without you all. And let's see if we can get to 2,000. I'm going to keep bringing reviews, customizations, etc. to you. And yeah, feel free to tune in, and I will catch you all next time.